The reality is, the more risk you take, the luckier you get. So people need to learn to take one big risk a day. Every day take a risk and build up that risk muscle, because risk is where success comes.
Risk must be taken for the greatest. Hazard in life is to risk nothing.
Take the biggest fucking risks of your entire life right now. Remember, you have time.
I think that most people, the reason that they lack success in their life is that they lack the courage to make the decisions that need to be made to put them in the position that they want to be in.
You can get so scared, and you can be so easily lulled into the idea that good is good enough, that feeling safe and comfortable is what you should always be looking for. That way of thinking, in your 20s in particular, dead fucking wrong. I want you to start to create this mindset of taking risks and going big.
All right. Welcome to R2R. Welcome to Wreck to Riches. Don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment, and always remember, I'm not a financial advisor, for damn sure not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. Don't ever allow an influencer on any social media platform out there to influence you when it comes to crypto, because you might lose it all. Could get wrecked. This is pure entertainment purposes only. Ryan Torres. Yeah, dog. What's going on, Ryan? Long time no see. Glad you're here. Thank you all for being here. We're going to get into it, right? Bitcoin bear market, how I got rich in crypto. There's a good and a bad. It's like a roller coaster, but we're going to get into that and talk about the important things. All right. The very important things. And we're going to shut the background music out. All right. You got to hear me out. I think I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, in every cycle, I've seen the same story play out over and over again. Right about this time, where the disbelief, it's going to bounce, we're going to go into a bull market, just wait, new money's coming in. Let me explain something to you guys. All right, it's as simple as it gets. The people that are out there saying that the 4-year cycle is no longer a factor, right? As we sit at $86,422 Bitcoin, which we had that top on October 5th of 2025. Keep that in mind, of $126,000 plus. A lot of people are out there in complete denial. They want to hear that Bitcoin's going to recover. They want to hear that the bull market hasn't hit yet. And a lot of reasons why it feels that way is part of my story, and we'll get into it. And yes, that does involve Pulse Chain, because when I first got rich in crypto, it was a complete accident. Okay. Let me explain to you how I got rich in crypto by accident, how I went from wreck to rich, from rich to wrecked, from wreck to rich, and down bad. We're calling it wrecked again. And I have these blueprints of how I've started my journey, how I learned how I accidentally got rich, how I fed into greed and went back to wrecked, followed the trend that I realized that made me rich by mistake in the first place, got back, went back, and on my way back to riches. All right. So there's a good old tool you guys can use. It's ChatGPT, right? And I'm only using it to bring up stats as far as the Bitcoin tops. And the 4-year cycle has played out perfectly, like spot on, okay? So when I got into Bitcoin for the first time ever, it was roughly 2014, 2015. I started buying a lot more. My price point into Bitcoin was $200 to about $250. I accumulated my first 30 Bitcoin between those price ranges. I was happy, right? Because it was a new technology. The thing I didn't know about when I was buying in 2014 and 2015 was that I was buying the bottom of the previous cycle, where Bitcoin had topped in 2013 to $1,150 in December 4th of 2013. That's a cycle before I even got in, meaning the top hit in 2013, and I'm coming in 2004, 2015, buying a price point of $200, $250 after it reached the top of $1,150. Now let that sink in, because again, I'm new to crypto. I didn't know about cycles. I didn't understand that, there was a previous top and then it went down to 200. I had just heard about it way early on and knew that I could have mined it and I could have had it for under $1. I didn't know that there was a time cycle, that people that were experienced traders were aiming at these targets, and I was hearing more about it in like Reddit, and they were talking about it. I had no clue what they're talking about. So time goes on. Remember, 2013 was the top. I'm literally buying the bottom of the cycle between 2013 and 2017, because in 2017, in the month of December, again, December 17th, 2017, Bitcoin hits $19,783. So my big success between these cycles was buying the bottom to begin with by accident, just by having an interest in capital and having a job to finally go into crypto that I was really excited about. So that was completely on accident. I bought the bottom. I don't know how lucky you can get, but it was like the end of 2016 and the beginning of 2017, where I started noticing Ethereum. And I was like, Ethereum, like smart contracts, and people will build on it. This is the future. None of that you see today, DeFi, was inexistent. It was just a token, right? And I was just blown away by it. So I had to buy it. I was buying it early on. I think the lowest I bought was 5, most at $7 though. Most at $7. Okay. And I just remember loading up and going, I love this Ethereum, right? Like $7. And then went to 10, and it's still early 2017 at the time, right? Before my $200 Bitcoin went at the beginning of the 2017, along with my Ethereum, and they both started taking off. Bitcoin, by the end of the year, 4 years after 2013 topped in 2017. And that's where I was like, let me sell a little bit of Bitcoin. But everybody was saying that this is not going to end anytime soon. We're going to $100,000 Bitcoin, $1 million. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'm not going to sell my whole deck. It went down to $3,000 after it peaked. Heading into 2018, I remember January and February was rough, and I was like, okay, well, I don't need to buy any more Bitcoin because I had a lot of Bitcoin and sold some. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not DCAing. It just felt too expensive. And there was a very unreal dip for me between, going up to 19,000 and going back down to about 3,000. And in early 2018, I started accumulating more Ethereum, right? So the Ethereum 2017 top, right? The price of Ethereum in 2017, it went from $8 to, by the end of the year, it's $774. And I was like, whoa, right? And then it happened by the end of the year. But then in January of 2018, where the bear market really sank in, and like halfway through the month went just crazy down, Ethereum had touched roughly $1,400. So by the time it came back down, in the full-blown bear market, I was buying more Ethereum and just holding on to the Bitcoin I had, like just devastated. Like, oh my God, I woulda, coulda, shoulda sold it all. And had I known it was going to go 3,000, I could have dumped the top and bought the bottom. I didn't understand the cycle. But then I started to realize in 2018 in the bear market, the things I was doing and transitioning in were building my portfolio and I was making more Ethereum, and there was nothing to do with Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin, you hold it. You don't build on Bitcoin. This is why Bitcoin's market cap is not diluted as like Ethereum. Okay, because Ethereum you build on, you stable tokens, you got meme tokens, you got DeFi, NFTs, and they all have market caps. With Bitcoin, nothing. You don't build on it, you don't make stable tokens on it, you don't make anything. So the market started blowing up for me with DeFi, right? And all the other EVMs, where I was like, holy smokes, like I can make more Ethereum by going into DeFi, like literally high risk, high reward DeFi with my Ethereum and the altcoins and like what I would call meme token gamble plays. They were just like people that were drawing out roadmaps and just launching tokens on Ethereum because you can make them. And I was like, I believe in you. I believe in you. But then they would hit. Okay. But between the 2017 top, the market topped again 4 years later. All right. And it topped in 2021 of November the 10th at $68,789. And it's what I did in between these cycles, between the 2017 and 2021, that I learned that I had to find the opportunity fast based off the information I had that I saw getting in early by accident in between the cycle between 2013 and 2017. And it was DeFi and holding certain tokens that were basically leverages on Ethereum because they were altcoins of Ethereum. They were built on Ethereum, whether they're EVMs on Binance Smart Chain, DeFi like Drip on Binance Smart Chain, DeFi on all over the place, Phantom, you name it. So those things were loading up more capital from gains, and I was getting more and more Ethereum, more and more BNB. And then prior to the 2021 top, December of 2019, a gentleman by the name of Richard Hart, who I followed for a long time, was like, Bitcoin Hex is coming. And then Hex dropped of December of 2019. And that's 2 years before the bull run was going to top in 2021. And I went heavy on Hex. I did Hex dApps. I bought Hex. I bought Hex copies that went up, and then you dump them and you have more Ethereum to buy more Hex, and I bought more Hex. I staked it, right? And the interesting thing that I learned was like I figured out the cycle. But here's where I really messed up. Because the 4-year cycle played out again. We just had it. We're going to look into that right now, right? 1 year later comes, I'm staked for a year. I got my tokens in early, about, I'd say I started getting my Hex like a year out. So we're talking like somewhere before a year, all the way till like going into January of 2021. But my Hex is way up. And Hex launched in 2020, or Hex launched in 2019 of December. Right away the next month, you could have bought for the best price in early January. I was buying then too, and I rode that wave. Okay, and 2021 comes, we hit $68,789 November 10th, and then you start to ride the wave going into December, January. Everything starts to go down. But the one mistake I made, okay. The one mistake I made in that cycle that I paid the price was, okay, dun, 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 my investment in Pulse Chain. And here's why I thought my investment in Pulse Chain was going to, and I love Pulse Chain still, I got to buy these bottoms, but my investment in Pulse Chain was the perfect timing, but who would have known it would have missed this bull market? I believe in 2026, it should turn around and it'll ride the next cycle. But the sacrifice for Pulse Chain, I was getting in like July of 2021, right? And I think it was, July, and it ended in August 22nd, 2021, right? And remember, November of 2021, we top. So I bought Pulse Chain. That ended August 22nd, I believe, 2021. And then PulseX began January of 2022. I sacrificed big for that one on multiple wallets. And I knew that the top was coming in like November, December. Like I was like November, December, or December again. It's going to happen. There's 2 cycles in a row. It happened in December, but in 2021, it happened in November. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to get into the sacrifice. And when it launches, it's going to be the bottom, right? But I thought I was going to get Pulse Chain way early on. We end up getting our Pulse Chain tokens in between 2021 and 2025 in 2023. Like it launched 2 years later in May. And what happened was and I never thought this was going to happen, that the SEC was going to come after Pulse Chain shortly after launch in July of 2023 at the end of the month. And we had that crazy candle. The 2 numbers we're even at today. And an SEC case that went for a long time. But going from 2021 to 2025, I went all in. You know, I didn't diversify, but I know the cycles, and I know the blueprint, and I know how I'm going to build, where I'm going to build, and how I'm going to do it. Because I've gone from wreck to rich again. And this opportunity where the bear market hits, we hit a top on Bitcoin at $126,000, just like clockwork from 2021, 4 years later, but in October of $126,000. And a lot of you feel like, no, it's not over. It's not over, because maybe you are like me, overinvested in, maybe like TitanX and Pulse Chain. And what happened was that the fact that Ethereum didn't hit all-time highs. So you're like, no, this can't be it. This can't be it. The reason why Ethereum didn't hit all-time high barely, but the reason why I didn't go for a 2x is because it's diluted. And I've talked about this for like the past year. You've got meme tokens, platforms, stable tokens built on it, ecosystems, other EVM chains share the market cap, or if none of those existed, it would be just Ethereum. But there's competitors like Solana that support a place to go play DeFi. And just like where you're building early on. So just like clockwork look at 2013, 4 years later, 2017, 4 years later, 2021 top, and then the 2025, 4 years from the top of the last cycle of November 10th, which was a beautiful bull run. It wasn't my best one compared to my first one, because that was like, whoa, like I did this by accident, right? So here we are with our Pulse Chain already going down more, and the beginning of the bull market starts. So I feel like we're going to have opportunity to buy it, but things have to change for it to hit the next cycle, because it missed this cycle. The 4-year cycle hit dead on. This super cycle stuff, I laugh about it, because like you look at Michael Saylor and you think Michael Saylor bought Bitcoin at $35,000 early. Divide that by the average price of my entry of $250. He paid 140x the price that I paid for Bitcoin. Okay. And he's been buying it all the way to above 100,000. He wasn't early. These people ignored it early. Well, I appreciated it. Right. And the only thing that you got to remember, it's not bullish when a Michael Saylor or any institutions get in, because they're in late. If they had gotten in early, we would have saw multiple more X's. The days of multiple X's in Bitcoin are gone. We'll see probably 2X's per cycle going on in the near future in the next cycle, if there is another cycle, because the only thing that I think would throw us off on another consistent cycle in 4 years, if some kind of disruptive technology came and made crypto for any reason obsolete. You don't know that that's going to happen, but let's assume we're on another 4-year cycle. What am I going to do from here with most of my investment went into Pulse Chain? Well, yeah, you got to exit Pulse Chain immediately. Shout out to Stacks, right? Or you keep what you want in Pulse Chain, but diversify. So, I've gone out there and made gains. And what I'm going to focus on in this bear market, and as people start to realize and wake up, we're in a bear market coming in January and February of 2026, and you see the stock market is probably topped, if not even in a bubble position. And when the stock market crashes, Bitcoin will crash with it. So, what do I think based off the numbers as far as what Bitcoin will hit from the tops to the bottoms that they went down to? I believe Bitcoin will be anywhere between $44,000 to $50,000 as a bottom going into this next cycle, which is starting now. We're now in a bear market. And you're just not going to believe it until you start to see it go down and down and down. And people are just like, okay, we're in it. You have to have like that approval from Twitter. So what am I doing? I'm going into stables. I'm 70% stables. Okay. I'm gonna lay it down to you. 70% stables because I want to get into the middle, just like when I accidentally bought the middle between 2013 and 2017 cycle and made a ton of money. A ton of money, life-changing gains. Then I made multi-millions between 2017 and 2021, getting into Richard Hart's famous Hex and a lot of different altcoins and dApps, major dApps. And then this cycle was just pure. I thought I played it right. I didn't know Pulse Chain was going to launch that late. If it had launched it at the if it had launched in 2021, right, we would have been at the bottom of the bear, and we would have worked our way up with no SEC case. It could have been totally different. Could have, would have, should have, but it didn't. All right. Now in this 2025 cycle, now that we're ended, I'm looking at, like I said, going stable, right? Then I can buy the bottoms on Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin when I see those go to the price points that I believe that they'll hit. Right. I'm still sticking to where DeFi popped off and made me a ton of money. So my main concern is stable. 20% though is going to go into the meta that I believe is going to be the biggest thing that people are going to need and appreciate. And we already saw it towards the end of this cycle that we're currently in, and that has to be privacy. Privacy is going to be the biggest thing that if you're involved with like Zcash or you're involved with Fyro, I talked about, or Beam, look for those bottoms. Privacy is important. Outside of like Pulse and PulseX, the ProveX token, if launched in January of 2026, is going to be a good option as well. I'm just not going to sacrifice for it just because I got a little PTSD for how much I did for Pulse and PulseX. But that has to do with privacy. So in that sense, the timing will be right if he launches it like right at the beginning of the year, no later than, the first quarter, so that we can see, it hit the bear market hard and then develop an important use case when it comes to privacy. So ProveX has way more utility across the board than what you would call with Pulse and PulseX, because those are both have to do with the blockchain. Pulse is a blockchain. It's not getting a lot of users. PulseX, it represents the exchange, represents Pulse Chain as the exchange. And then Hex has just been like kind of like a dying breed of just people who are, exiting at this point. So with privacy being my main focus, 20% is going to go into that. I'm not looking at Zcash though, for instance. I've talked about Fyro and Beam, and then there's some other ones like Pivx, right? That's where the 20% is. That's not in stables, right? 70 stables, 20 into privacy. I'm going to ride that meta into this next cycle here that I believe we're in, because again, like I said, like clockwork, 2013 top, 4 years later, 2017 top in December, 2021 top in November, 2025 top in October the 5th. So the 4-year cycle played out just identical to the T. And with that being said, what's the other 10%? Well, the other 10% is the irresponsible, I can't help it, risk it for the biscuit, DeFi. And one of the ones that I'm supporting that you guys probably see, I'm making tons of content, is I'm a big Bobby Gray believer with TXC Coin. I got friends that travel and they send me photos when they're at the airport. And they're like, dude, TXC Coin, it's at the LAX. It's here at this airport in Florida. And I had another crypto friend who was at the what I think it was one of the parades in it might have been in Dallas or McKinney, and saw that they were there large and in charge and a sponsor of one of the Christmas parades this year. And he went in and was like, dude, I'm sold. Like, I saw this nice truck wrapped in TXC coin. You see it everywhere. It's in California, it's all over Texas, and they're building the layer 2. So I have a link in the description to tutorials on how you would sign up and how this works, but that's 10% out of the 20 that's going to focus on 20% is going to focus on privacy. 10% is going to be totally degen, but I got that other 70 that's going to wait for the absolute almost. I'll never time it perfectly, which I will hope to be the bottom. And if it is great, then that's going to go back into, I feel like I would probably buy Solana over Ethereum, and then more into privacy, and then, maybe some risk it to the biscuit. But I want to keep that 70 strong to the side in the back pocket, and hope I'm going to continue to talk about TXC coin. Their layer 2 is out, and it's going to be, you're going to be able to build on it. And it's weird how timing works in life. I believe, and I've showed you the data, that the 4-year cycle ended. We're going into a bear. They're growing. They've been mining for well over a year. 22% of the miners' seats have been filled. Once that sellout's over, I give them payouts every day. You can links in the description to the tutorial on how to sign up. And it's interesting because now the layer 2's out, and the downtown digital dollar in Texas is something that they're going to be a part of, where they're going to have the opportunity to utilize the TXC token, right, as the primary gas token that's going to be required to hold to burn it, right? It's going to be, it's going to be required for the gas fees, the TXC token. It's going to be sent out to an area where I think it could either be burnt or locked. But people in Texas are waiting on this. They have a big network where they'll be able to, connect with festivals, maybe coffee shops, restaurants will be able to use a downtown digital dollar that will be able to use the TXC blockchain, and the TXC token will be used as a gas fee. And it puts, obviously buy pressure, because you're going to need TXC to transact with the downtown digital dollar. And I've never seen anybody do that, right? Like, I always pictured myself at the very beginning buying Bitcoin very early on, like I said, $200-250. I was like, one day, remember talking to my mom, I was like, we're going to be buying coffee with Bitcoin. Then I figured out how the gas fees work and how slow it was and how congested. I go, I don't think we're ever going to be buying coffee with it. Then I go, I'm going to be buying a coffee with Ethereum. Well, I think you're probably better off building a platform or your business on Ethereum. Smart contracts ain't quite what you want to be paying for, right, with Ethereum. Then I thought it was, this. So the only solution would be stable tokens in general, right? Just fast and efficient, which are built on Ethereum. But if you can transact like that, you pay a gas fee in Ethereum that's high. So you got EVMs with smaller fees and more efficient. So the downtown digital dollar is going to be on this layer 2, this blockchain that we're mining out. And it's very interesting. So again, every cycle I've found something early. And my first one in the middle was Bitcoin, and then Ethereum smart contract tech. In the middle of the 2017-21 cycle, I found DeFi dApps and Richard Hart's famous Hex coin, right? And DeFi was popping, bro. There was a lot of dApps that made a lot of money. It was fun. And then this cycle, I completely, I thought I had it, but I really thought I was going to sacrifice for Pulse, and we were going to get our tokens at the bottom of the bear market like I had timed it. But we got the tokens 2 years later, and then the damn FCC came. So there's a lot of things that worked against, but you live and learn. Don't put your eggs in one basket, right? But you can always make more eggs. F it. So, yeah, I got a lot of content on it. I'm a big believer. So what does that mean? Heading in between the 2025/26 cycle, and which would be the 2025, what would you call it, 2028, 2029 cycle, when I predict it will hit the top 4 years from now. I'm finding early on a layer 2 blockchain that is big marketing dollars, spends hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing, is going to put into action through the layer 2 a downtown digital dollar. I'm going to invest in the importance of privacy tokens, which I think are going to be massively, massively just in high demand, because it's not normal to know what your best friend's spending. You know what I mean? Like, you need that privacy. Like, what's wrong here? Do you guys want to know? Do you really want to know what, who's in the chat? Do we want to know if Post Jitsu walks out his front door, stretches, takes a look, puts his sunglasses on, his suits, sits in the lounge chair, watches the sun, chills, has a drink. Then his neighbor comes out and is like, I saw on the blockchain, homie was buying a bunch of stuff off of Pornhub, the sex shop. He was buying a bunch of weird stuff. And then he bought some teddy bears and a PS5. Matter of fact, he he has $5 left after all that. You don't see that in the real world. Nobody knows what you have in your bank account or how much you spend, on your Christmas presents. But that's because nothing's transparent in the world but blockchain. So privacy is going to be in high demand, but it's going to be in the highest demand after they all hit the rock bottom during this bear market that we're in, that I speculate and believe. And that's where I'm going to pick them up. And then my stables are going to come in and buy more of it, right? On top of that 20%. I'm going to do it all over again. Okay. So I got my core tokens I want to get into. Privacy. And actually, Prove X. I'll grab the if I can grab the token on a good price at the bottom of the bear, boom, I'm in. No doubt about it. It has utility. Now, everything else, as far as high risk, high rewards, I got a few dApps out there I talk about. But the big one that is more like, dude, like they're building right now. You can sign up through the link in the description, buy your miners. You can call it a scam. You can call it this and that. Do your research. It's not for everybody, but it's more personal for me because the more people that I know in real life that are seeing this in action, advertised all over the state, and locals are excited about it, talking about it, can't wait for the downtown digital dollar. People are ready to use it. That's what blockchain's all about. So you can come here, fill out the form. I actually just got my TXC coin. They send you TXC coin coin ledgers, and I didn't pay for these. They send me 3 in the mail and 2 Ethereum ones. So I got 3 TXC coin ledgers. That way, you keep your stuff safe. And I got some coin ledgers as well for Ethereum. And I was like, cool, man. So you got all the different packages. Don't forget, head over to Astrodex, which is a decentralized way. If you want to, if you're going to gamble and do perpetuals, and you're like, you know what? Damn, we did have a 4-year cycle. And you're like, you got it short. Use the link in the description for Astrodex. If you're gonna use perpetuals, why do it on a centralized exchange? You could do it in a decentralized environment over at Astrodex and earn airdrop points. It's all fun and games until you lose money. But some of you are really good at it, so have at it. The links in the description. Do it the right way, the safe way, which is decentralized, and there's no other way. And then like I said, I talk about, check out my channel. You'll see Plasm videos. That's one DeFi spot I'm going in heavy into the bear. Into TXC Mining. Links in the description on how to sign up and how to get involved. You can buy it, you can mine it. I'm doing both. And then those privacy tokens, that's going to be the next stretch. And doing those things, what will I find in the middle between 2025 and 2028, 2029? Something big will come. The opportunities are always there. Look out for them. But I'm going to be doing videos, so I'll catch them. And I sure as well talk about them. Don't forget to pound that like button. Drop a comment. Till next time, we'll do it again. Yeah, dog.
wake up in the morning, telegram in hand, on to our community, the coolest in the land. Cheese cream drops a joke, got me laughing loud. Then I start to scroll down through the daily crowd. Who's the OG printer, lighting up the zone? Is it Dama Beast or Sav on the throne? Or maybe it's Friday, Flexmas is here. Time to throw some gains and flex without fear. I toss out some questions, looking for the signs. Inside fix is ready, dropping out for lines. I keep on reading, can't look away. Those spicy emojis make my whole day. Then someone yells exit, get off post chain. But I ride the waves through pleasure and pain. I live in a limbo of hope and despair, but we're all in this boat and I'm proud to be there. Yeah, I might end up wrecked, burned by the flame, but I'm with the best crew in this wild DeFi game. I might end up wrecked, burned by the flame, but I'm with the best crew in this wild DeFi game.